Good evening, everyone. May I ask everyone, especially in the back, to have a seat so we can start the program shortly. Thank you. Welcome to tonight's program. I'm Brian Fanaki. I'm a Cornerstones board member, and I'm here to introduce you to our host, pastor of Trinity Presbyterian Church, Stephen Smith Cobbs, who will provide us with the opening remarks tonight. So, everyone, please welcome Pastor Stephen Smith Cobbs.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Trinity Presbyterian Church. It's our pleasure to be able to host this event. Let me get the important information out first. As you go out here, you make a little bit of a move to the right. That's where you'll find the bathrooms. At the end of this program, refreshments will be served in our fellowship hall. As you go out, you move a little bit to the left, go straight through, almost till you hit a wall. But don't hit the wall. Turn right, and you go into the fellowship hall. That's where the refreshments will be waiting for you. So we hope that you are able to be comfortable, be informed, and be refreshed with some refreshments after we're done. A few words by way of opening remarks. Some might ask, how come a church is hosting a thing like this, and how come Cornerstones is hosting a thing like this? And that's a good pair of questions to ask, so I'll try to answer them. First, why is Cornerstones doing this? Cornerstones' mission is to serve those in need in our community. And those in need in our community include everybody. And people who make decisions for and about everybody are those who serve as our elected representatives, our elected leaders. So, in the past, leading up to tonight, Cornerstones has hosted other candidate forums, and tonight we're able for the first time to do one specifically for mayoral candidates. And it helps greatly, frankly, that we have two, not 10, but two. And so we hope to have actually a good, informative time together with lots of questions, some of which came from all of you when you had that opportunity to put in a question when you registered, and the team that worked together preparing for this tried to include those, and you'll see that as our panelists who are here do a wonderful job of asking those questions on behalf of both Cornerstones and the community. So that's why Cornerstones, in part, is here. Why is Trinity hosting this? Well, first, we're a part of Cornerstones. We're one of the two supporting religious organizations in the town of Herndon that works with Cornerstones. My church, Trinity Presbyterian Church, and the other one is also represented with Reverend Charles Calherd, rector at St. Timothy's Episcopal Church. You'll hear him be formally introduced later. We are involved with Cornerstones because we also agree and participate in the mission that Cornerstones has. They are partners with both our churches and with many churches surrounding Herndon in Reston, and also now with work that Cornerstones is doing that goes beyond Herndon and Reston, south to Fairfax, west to Loudoun. We are doing what we can to help our community be a stronger and a better place. Part of how that happens is through how we work together as a body, as a community. In our country, we're blessed to do that through democracy. You may not know it, but the very first important document that led to our country's formation, the Declaration of Independence, had one clergyman, who signed the Declaration of Independence. He was a Presbyterian, Reverend John Witherspoon of Princeton. That began that kind of relationship between church and state that understood the boundaries, but also that the boundary also had a way to connect, not just to separate, to define roles so that we could more effectively work together. So it is that democracy is an important thing, just not for governments and communities, but also for communities of faith. As such, I want to take this moment to invite all of you to a special event that's going to be happening on Sunday afternoon, October 20th at 2 p.m., when more than 14 communities of faith from across Herndon, Reston, and even a few folks from Loudon are coming together to support a ceremonial tree planting of a democracy tree, to say that in the midst of partisan, divisive times, we can be united. Because as it has been pointed out to me, you can't spell community without unity. And so in that event on October 20th at 2 p.m., we'll have a ceremonial tree planting, and it will be at Haley Smith Park at 2 p.m. You're all invited. It won't be long, less than an hour. There will be clergy involved, but we will actually have timekeepers, just like here. That's sometimes a necessary thing, I understand. But we hope you can come and support our community and support our united community and the unity that we share. With that, welcome. Bless you all, and I hope this turns out to be a helpful, informative, and meaningful evening of civil engagement with civic work. Thank you, and God bless. Now, as part of our work we're going to be doing here, we're each one who speaks introducing the next speaker. And it's my pleasure to introduce the incoming, or the current, no, you're this current standing Dulles Chamber person who's here to speak for us, Mr. Joe Malazzo. Welcome, Joe. Thank you for being here. And thank you for supporting this event.
So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I was sitting there, I come from an old Catholic upbringing. So when I became an altar boy, my mom goes, "Hey, you're going to be a priest." So didn't get there, but I'm here. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joe Malazzo. I am the chairman of the Dulles Regional Chamber of Commerce. The chamber has had a long relationship with the town of Herndon, through collaboration, through partnership, and through friendships. We just completed our 30th season with Friday Night Live. As the holiday season approaches, we will be involved in the Christmas tree lighting and the Winterfest with the town of Herndon. The Chamber's vision is to be the chief connector among communities, businesses, and government along the Route 28 corridor from Fairfax County, the Dulles International Airport, and Loudoun County. We are honored to be part of tonight's mayoral debate and to have our vice chair, Mike Williams, over there, as one of our moderators. Lastly, I would like to thank Cornerstones and all those involved in making this event happen tonight. So let's get started with this debate, and it's my pleasure to introduce Andy Letcher.
Thank you.
Good evening and welcome. Thank you all for being here. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm going to serve as your moderator today. Think of me as the referee. I don't ask any questions. I'm not doing any fact-checking. I'm here mainly to keep time. Which is good because I was a soccer referee, so I'm trained. In addition to being the moderator tonight, I'm also the chair of the board of directors at Cornerstones. And my family has been residents of the town of Herndon for the past 30 years, so I'm also a voter. Tonight, we are here to talk about who's going to be our next mayor of the town of Herndon. We would like to highlight that tonight's forum is a nonpartisan event, and neither Cornerstones nor the Dulles Chamber endorse any candidate for office. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our candidates that are running for mayor in the upcoming election on November 5th. The candidates are Councilmember Pradip Dhakal, to my most right, and Councilmember Keven LeBlanc, who's to my near right. So they're both right of me. Okay. The order in which the candidates will give statements and answer our questions this evening was determined by a random drawing by our planning committee. Let me explain the format tonight. Each candidate will give an opening statement and respond to questions asked by our panel. Candidates will each have 3 minutes for an opening statement and then 2 minutes to answer to each of the questions that are asked. We have a volunteer from our planning committee who's sitting in the front row, and she'll hold up yellow card for 30 seconds remaining and a red card when time is up, hence the soccer tie-in here. Candidates may also use their time to respond to comments from their opponent, but it's part of their 2-minute answer time. There will not be time for the audience to ask questions in our program. We did give you the opportunity to submit questions, and we received a lot of questions. In fact, we received a lot of excellent questions, and they informed the questions that we will be asking tonight. To be quite frank, our planning committee was slightly overwhelmed with the volume of questions. As Pastor Stephen pointed out, this is not our first candidates forum, but by far this was the most input we've received for questions, which is good news for the town of Herndon. You guys are interested, which is great. The audience is invited to stay for a dessert reception, which Stephen already told you how to get to, where you can engage with the candidates and ask your questions that we might not have been able to get to. You have a program which contains a discussion guide which tries to capture some of the questions we were unable to get to today, and you can use that to guide your discussions. Now I'd like to introduce you to the panel of community leaders who will be asking our questions this evening. First of all, we're joined by Reverend Charles Cowherd, who's the rector of St. Timothy's Episcopal Church in Herndon. We have Candace Hunstead, who's the principal at Herndon Elementary School, which is right across the street. And we have Ms. Fanny Salazar-Lasky, who's a neighborhood ambassador with the Opportunity Neighborhoods in Herndon. And we have Mr. Mike Williams, who's the incoming chair of the Dulles Chamber of Commerce. Now we welcome each candidate to share a 3-minute opening statement, and by coin flip, the first opening statement will be from Mr. Dhakal.
All right.
They have to remember to turn their mics on. We're not turning them off.
Is it good? Can you
Yeah.
all? All right, so good to see you all. Thank you everyone for being here, and thank you for this opportunity as well. Cornerstones, Trinity Presbyterian Church, and Dulles Regional Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Pradip Dhakal, just in case you didn't know. I'm serving as a council member right now. This is my 3rd term serving. I was first elected in 2018, and then 2020, 2022, and then now I'm running for mayor. I'm an immigrant, first generation. I came to this country when I was 25 years old from a small country, Nepal, as a student. So once I graduated from college, then I started working, and then I started a wonderful lady, Shushma, sitting right there, and we got married. She is from Herndon. She graduated from Herndon High School, and that's how, she actually pulled me here, and I came here in 2012. So it's been 12 years I've been resident of the town of Herndon. And I live with my 3 kids, 8 years old, 6 years old, and 2 years old, 2 boys and a girl. And, Principal Candace, you know them. They went to Herndon High School, and now they are in Clearview Elementary School, from Herndon Elementary to Clearview Elementary. From the professional front, I work as a project program manager, a strategic thinker, a thought leader, a transformation leader who helps the federal government and many other, corporate entities within the Northern Virginia. I've worked for Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. If you are aware of Affordable Care Act, when that is administered, when people apply for that, and then when the decision does not come as expected, they go and appeal. And I actually managed the case management system where the appeal comes and goes through different adjudication, hearing, effectuation process. So I have advised federal government and other corporations within Northern Virginia in terms of transformational changes, agile transformation, and also making sure they move from a very in-premise infrastructure to the cloud. So that's my background, and I'm glad to be here today, serving as a council member for 3 terms with the support of the majority of this council, as well as the community backup and ask. I'm here standing as a candidate for the mayor of town of Herndon. Thank you.
And now Mr. LeBlanc.
Thank you. I reiterate my colleagues' words in thanking everyone for putting this event on. Earlier today, I was at a town event, actually a town task force around rebranding. And the things that were iterated through all of the comments of surveys by individuals across our community were that they appreciated the historic and small town charm, the friendliness of the town, the diversity of the town. And these are all things that drew me and my husband, Scott, to this community. Being able to walk around and people would just say hello whenever they saw us. Of course, it might have been for the dogs, but still, they said hello. And looking out at all of you, I'm reminded of this again, and 3 simple but very powerful words. We walk together. Through ups and downs, we've had lots of ups in these last 2 years that I've served on council. I'm very proud to have created the first Pride Festival in the town, to have the first tax reduction in 10 years, to help open our Small Business Development Center and mentor several businesses myself. I'm a successful entrepreneur and builder of businesses in the town of Herndon, working at the federal level as a trusted advisor on national health equity and veteran care and defense and national security. We've had some downs too, like Comstock redevelopment. But we have to remember that none of us are alone. We have a collective path towards unity and progress, and you need a leader to do that. We're at a very pivotal moment. That moment is occurring in our nation as a whole through this election and what's happening across the nation. In our town, we have to balance growth, especially through our metro-related areas, with the charm and the history that we love of that small town feel. We need to balance taxes between businesses and with residential. We're at a pivotal time with our staff. Our town manager, who effectively runs the town, has moved on to another opportunity, and this next council will choose the next town manager and needs to be careful in selecting them, as it will dictate the direction of the town and how all of the other staff in this town, whether they're retained and how they perform. It's not just about events or budgets or contract signing, it's about sustainable futures. And you should know that Herndon is not a stepping stone for me. I've had a successful career. This is my destination. So I'm asking you to walk with me, to lend me your energy, your voices, your thoughts and ideas. But this is not about me. This is about what we can do when we walk together.
Thank you. Our first question comes from Reverend Cowherd.
Yes, my question concerns something that's already come up in your opening remarks. There have been continued delays with the redevelopment of Herndon's downtown. Comstock recently released a new timeline for this project, including changes in the plan that affect housing, retail, and a renovated art space to be completed in the next 2 to 3 years. The question is, how as mayor will you ensure that the redevelopment happens in a timely manner and meets the express needs of Herndon's residents, local businesses, and community at large?
And Mr. LeBlanc, you have the first question.
Thank you for that question. I think unanimously across the council, and I think probably echoed throughout the entire community, we're all disappointed that it's taken this long. And there are a number of factors that have brought us to this point. This town council unanimously has been working towards protecting the town. So my colleague and I and all of the other colleagues on council, we have been unanimous in this about how do we negotiate and work with Comstock to get this project to fruition while also protecting and putting things in a revised contract that protect the town and the town's assets. So that's first and paramount, and certainly leveraging my business and contracts expertise will come into play into preserving this for the town. Can't go into a lot of details because of the closed sessions around the legal negotiations. I also sit on the board of Arts Herndon and am the largest owner at Next Stop Theater. So the arts have always been critical for me. And while we tried to preserve the Arts Center, that was one of the things that had to be negotiated in order to get this project to continue forward through all of the other measures that took place. So we fought to preserve as much as we can, and we will continue to look for alternatives and options to continue to build for the community in our downtown space to attract and draw people. This will come through events, through arts-based, arts community, through natural spaces, and just an entire gathering space for the community.
Mr. Dhakal, your answer to the question.
Sure, thank you so much. Is my mic still on? Okay, so we already understand why the delay was caused and all of those things, so I'm not gonna reiterate that. I'm all in favor to make sure this happens. Having said that, we have to understand when this contract was written in 2017 first, and now fast forward, we're in 2024. The numbers, the cost, everything had changed, the interest rate and everything. And that was part of the delay for now. Initially, there were many different causes for the delay. Now, what we have to understand here is when the contract was written, obviously I was not part of that council and I'm not blaming that council, but we have to understand that we have to protect our interest as a town. We have to protect the leverage that we have as a town, which was not done at that time when it comes to setting the milestone, schedules, and all of those things. And that's the reason why Comstock got all the leverage so they could actually, delay as much as they could at that time. Now, going forward right now, we have all agreed to extend the outside satisfaction date to 2024 December 10. The reason we did this is because the numbers that we agreed in 2017 are no more relevant at this time. We have to see and understand Comstock is not a nonprofit organization. It's for profit, right? So we have to make sure these numbers make sense. But having said that, the reason why we're here, the reason we all support the downtown redevelopment and why it was started in the first place, that region has to be protected. And I will be working hard on everybody's behalf to make sure that is protected and to make sure this goes towards the fruition. I will be totally committed to make sure it gets done. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next question comes from Principal Hunstead.
Question number 2 has to do with the Herndon Strategic Plan. Herndon's 5-year strategic plan, which was adopted in March, envisions an integrated, sustainable, safe, and equitable town built on accessible development and an engaged community. How would you rate the town's progress so far on reaching that vision? What can you do to make that vision a reality?
And Mr. Dhakal, you're the first responder.
Sure. Thank you so much for that question again. Yes, one of our strategic initiatives is to make sure we have a safe community, we have environmental and economical sustainability as well, and I believe your question is on that. So, many things. First thing is, I just want to give example. We just had a presentation from our town arborist about the conditions of tree in our town, right? And we are tree city, and I'm not saying this in a negative way or connotation. This is great. But we understood that, when it comes to the trees, we are far behind compared to other, jurisdictions who are, closest to us. So that means there is work to do. And how is it get done? Is we have to proactively plan. Not for 1 year, not for 5 years, not for 10 years, but over the years. That's one thing, right? The other thing is the EV charging stations. We do not have enough in the town. And we do have a lot of, the development and redevelopment opportunities coming. And it has to be part of negotiation, part of proffer, that we have to work with the developers to make sure we have enough EV stations. Now, we can do two ways. One is being reactive, and then when we need, it can always be retrofitted. But my approach will be proactive. The reason is, we have to make sure we have enough charging stations for electric vehicle. That way, we can change people's perception, we can change people's behavior when it comes to owning the vehicles. And that way, we can actually inspire them to go towards the EVs, right? I do have many other things, but I think the time is up, so I will stop my remarks here. Thank you.
And Mr. LeBlanc.
Thank you. That's a great question. I do want to touch very briefly on something that Mr. Dhakal said, which was around the environmental sustainability in the tree survey. We should remember that not all jurisdictions were captured in that study, and the nearest ones, such as Oakton and Clifton and other areas, are very less densely populated than our town. So we have made a trade-off and continue to make trade-offs around more affordable housing and more economic development than some of those cities. We are a tree city. We do have a lot of tree cover, and we're working on biodiversity of our trees and planting more. So I continue to support that as an environmental engineer. That's very critical and important to me around sustainability for the long term. Safety is paramount also. So all of these things are connected. When we have growth, whether it be economic diversity growth in physical structures, we have to plan that and time it well with taxes, with housing, and with policing. So our police, while the only fully staffed jurisdiction currently, so that shows a very strong focus around safety, we still have transportation issues, pedestrian accessibility issues throughout the town, and we need to continue to fund and make sure that our police have the right resources. So for example, there's a lot of salary compression issues. So the next council needs to focus on how we're going to make sure that everyone's staffed appropriately and can support us. For engagement, that's really critical, that we go out to the community. So I want to bring back town council roundtables where the community can come and talk to us outside of a public forum. I also am going to introduce Meals with the Mayor. If you don't feel comfortable coming and talk to all of us, you can come and have Sunday dinner with me and tell me what your thoughts are. We need to capitalize on the asset, our greatest asset being our community.
Thank you. Ms. Salazar-Lasky, the next
Good
question
evening,
is from you.
everyone. Question number 3. Build and preserve affordable housing. As discussed at the recent special town council meeting for affordable housing, the town development forced to not include plans for the affordable housing without strategies and tools in place to build and preserve Herndon affordable house. The cost of housing will be continued rising out for Herndon workforce and working families.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, this is a question, please.
Okay.
What policies, tools, and incentives should the town councils use to build and preserve affordable homes in our town?
Thank you. I think you and I are both nervous, right?
I'm very nervous. Sorry about that.
So affordable housing is a nationwide issue. It's not unique to us. If we look at the data, and I encourage everyone to go back to last Thursday's meeting where we actually had Fairfax County Housing Authority speak to the town council. It was very informative. We do have some very strong affordable housing options, and I'd also like to talk about diversity of housing. So it's not just the legal definition of affordable, but having workforce, smaller homes, starter homes for people who are younger, just building a family, retirement places. As we speak about these issues in affordable housing, we have a great asset in our town where we can preserve the legacy of and wisdom of our seniors. So Harbor House is an affordable dwelling place in the center of town, and they're an integral part of the fabric of our society. Cornerstones, one of our hosts, has a number of residences that they use voucher programs to support, so that way people have a mix of that housing. We worked with Fairfax County. It's right on the border, but it serves the town of Herndon. We have Arrowbrook, which was a very large, very nice facility. And then on the other end of town, on the other end of Eldon, we've converted an old hotel into Trellis, which is another workforce housing facility. So we need to continue to look at the balance of the diversity of housing, so that way we meet all of the needs of the entire community. We can use proffers, we can use other incentives in the contracts, but it all starts with comprehensive plan, then rezoning, and then encouraging and working both with the county, with the state or federal programs, and with the developers or the owners of those properties. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens with all of us.
Mr. Dhakal.
All right, thank you. Again, I agree to my colleague what he said. That's exactly how we're going to tackle this. It's all about the intention. I started advocating for affordable housing since I ran first, because I realized the lack of affordable housing in this town, workforce housing as well. Our core service providers, our police, our teachers, the service providers, healthcare professionals are not able to afford living in the town. And that's one of the biggest issues, and we have to protect our workforce. And that's why it is really important. How we can accomplish? Many things. We have to work with the county to bring the dedicated funds here when we find a good opportunity which can be converted into affordable, dedicated affordable and workforce housing. The other one is comprehensive plan amendment. Zoning is in our hand, but housing is not, within us. So how we can do is we can work with the Fairfax County to create the memorandum of understanding so they can actually administer that on our behalf. Now, this is the critical time because we have a lot of development and redevelopment opportunities coming in the town, whether it's H-Stock, whether it's TRG area, and the rest of the area. If you ask me, my plan is I propose 20% on the H-Stock area where the density goes most. We have to renegotiate. And that happens by, giving a little bit more density bonus and then renegotiate with the developers to get that 20%. The TRG area, 15%. Rest of the areas in the town, 12%. That aligns with the county's minimum as well. So we have to be intentional. It's not about the words, it's about the action. And I'm really dedicated to get that happen because we do have a lot of folks here who always talk to me about the affordable housing, workforce housing in the audience tonight. And I commit of delivering that, working with the county and other, jurisdiction, state and federal. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next question is from Mr. Williams.
Yes, this question has to do with diversity and inclusion in community programming and events. For Herndon to continue to grow and thrive, the mayor and town council must navigate efforts to preserve the small town community everyone loves, honor the over 150 years of Herndon's rich history while pursuing economic opportunity and celebrating social, racial, and economic diversity. The question is two parts. As mayor, how will you be sure to honor Herndon's traditions while remaining a community where all residents are welcome, valued, and included? And part two, what steps will you take, if any, to expand the town of Herndon's community programming and events?
And the question is to me first?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's me. Yes, it's to you first. Sorry, I forgot my job.
Right.
I had one job. Mr. Dhakal, it's your question.
Thank you. All right, so thank you for this question. This is a question very near and dear to my heart. As you know, Herndon had changed a lot in the last 10, 15, 20 years. It's become more diverse community now. As a matter of fact, it has become minority-majority town now. And why I'm saying this is because, we have to ensure everybody's interest, everybody's existence, everybody's culture, everybody's, diverse perspective is recognized. And when it comes to, obviously we have a historic town, and, history is very important. We have to preserve that. But at the same time, we do have a very diverse community here. And then when it comes to, melting those two together, obviously bringing a lot of events that everybody feels welcome. And now we have started that already. As a matter of fact, when I got into council, with the help of other council members as well, we have initiated the cultural event funds. The basic, principle behind that is, there are so many nonprofits who can bring different diverse events in the town that everybody feels welcome. Let's support them. Let's provide them some seeding funds. Let's help them to establish those events. And when that happens, when we have enough volunteers, which is another issue in the town, that we do not have enough volunteers, then they become self-sustained, right? That's one thing. That's the reason why I supported, and we brought Juneteenth event, Kepasa Herndon, Pakistani festival. We just had Irish festival, and now we're bringing multicultural festival as well in the town, which we wanted to do this year, but because of some logistic, it will go to the next year, probably early next year. Thank you.
And Mr. LeBlanc.
Thank you. I agree, but I would say that for me, when we look at diversity and equity inclusion, I want to flip that. We really need to focus on inclusion first. We bring everyone to the table, and then through that inclusive lens, then we can start to celebrate the diversity and understand that we're all at the table to enjoy all the things that make us unique under the lens that we are all one human family. So in terms of honoring our traditions and the cultural events, I've been very successful in putting on some of the most successful events that have supported both the business community, the diversity that exists within our community, with many people enjoying it, as well as showcasing our downtown. So Winter Market brings over 12,000 people and supports over 70 businesses each year. When I first moved here, Taste of Herndon, we have a huge diversity of restaurants and cultural restaurants to be showcased. I'm bringing back a passport-based program that will support people going out and enjoying our restaurants and being encouraged to explore these different tastes and cuisines. I work on the Holiday Homes Tour to showcase the diversity of homes, the ages of the homes, the people that live there, of different faith backgrounds, of different family traditions and structures. So it's not just racial diversity, which is critically important, of course, but it's diversity of opinions, of thoughts, of backgrounds, of experiences, of family types, of neurodiversity, of other diverse things that you can't see. And so I would be looking to continue to go out and reach out into the communities, build these events. I'm working on bringing back the Herndon Festival or some structure of it, as well as celebrating the 150th anniversary of the town, that we could all come together as one.
Thank you. Okay, Reverend Cowherd.
One quick question. Can we make a remark on the...
You can when you are answering the next question. Okay. You have your 2 minutes.
Okay.
You can use your 2 minutes there. So, Reverend Cowherd, the next question is from you, and you can use your 2 minutes while answering that question to go back if you want.
Question number 5. As an incorporated town within Fairfax County, Herndon is well positioned to leverage county support for town programs and to connect residents and businesses to county resources. As mayor, how will you ensure we are maximizing our access to county resources and supports? How can the town council better ensure that our residents and businesses are aware of and linked to county programs?
And Mr. LeBlanc, this one goes to you first.
Thank you. I want to expand that. It shouldn't just be county. We need to be working at the state level for state resources, working at the federal level for federal grants, and regionally. So I sit on the committee for Dulles, looking at legislative, transportation, and economic development needs through the entire sphere of Dulles, which even extends into Maryland. So working through organizations like that, working with Supervisor Bierman, the other supervisors of Fairfax County, going out and working, transportation is a big need in this town. And we get a lot of our dollars through grants and working with the county, the state, and at the federal level. And so working with between our staff and all of these functions, especially drawing on my own personal experience and business experience, working at all levels of government is really critical in bringing all the parties to the table. I will also say that at the state level, as an example, one of the things I'm working on right now with Delegate Shin is a last mile from the metro. We are privileged and honored to have the only metro stop within a town in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And so we need a way for our residents to be able to get there to other parts of Herndon. So working on getting the state to provide funding for a pilot for transportation that goes to and from within a 1 mile radius of the metro. That will be critical for us to looking at a trolley service or some other service that will circulate around the town that's beyond Fairfax County connector buses, which can take a very long time to get people through and to the metro center. So working together, hearing your ideas, but mainly working with everyone else.
Mr. Dhakal.
Thank you. Just the previous question about the diversity celebration and all of those things. We have to bring everybody on the table. We have to bring everybody together. And for that, we need different events so that people start feeling welcomed and recognized. I think that is the first step before everybody comes to the table. That's the reason why these cultural events, diverse events are so important in the town. Now, talking about the county resources and everything, we pay taxes to the county. The people in Reston pay the same amount of tax as people of Herndon pay when it comes to county taxes. So we need to be able to bring some of those taxes we've paid back to the town in a different ways and forms. Councilmember LeBlanc talked about the transportation. We need to increase the routes of Fairfax Connector. We need to increase the frequency of those buses so our residents will start using more public transportation. We can bring that, we can do that. As a matter of fact, I'm already working with and talking to Jimmy Bierman, our supervisor, bringing those resources in the town. We already have a great relationship when it comes to, promoting and bringing more affordable housing and, working with the county to administer that as well. And that was the reason why I have even received endorsement from him, because he understands this is the candidate, this is the guy who will make this happen. Now, talking about the state, resources, we have to work with our state legislators as well in the similar manner to bring the resources in the town. And I have a great relationship with our state delegate, Irene Shin, as well. That's the reason why I have received endorsement from her as well. The reason being, we need to work together to bring those resources. Talking about, county resources, we do not have, the community services, or we do not have the social services here, but we have neighborhood resource center, but we as a town have to promote that so it reaches out to more people. Thank you.
Our next question is from Principal Hunstad.
Thank you. The 2023 report, Lost Opportunities by Virginia Commonwealth University and Northern Virginia Health Foundation, identified neighborhoods in Herndon as islands of disadvantage, with poorer socioeconomic conditions and health outcomes than surrounding neighborhoods. Fairfax County's most recent Youth Risk Behavior Survey highlighted racial disparities in risky behaviors, physical and mental health, and assets that build resiliency. Too many of Herndon's children go to school hungry, live in unsafe or unstable conditions, and go home to parents and caregivers who are unsure how they will pay for rent or put the next meal on the table. How will you, as mayor, work in partnership with the schools, agencies, and organizations supporting these students and their families to ensure that all of Herndon's children are thriving? Please be specific.
And I believe this goes to you, Mr. Dhakal, first.
Thank you for this question. This is another very near and dear to my heart. As a matter of fact, working with the schools, I am one of the advisors of Herndon Advisory Committee working with Harris Sickett Foundation, which works with the students of Herndon High School. The reason we're doing this is so that we can provide more mentorship, one-on-one coaches. As a matter of fact, we have recruited already few coaches who have already gone through the Fairfax County system's investigation process to become the coaches. And the reason is we have to provide that coaching and mentorship to our Herndon High School youth so they can envision their future. That program is called Imagining Your Future. And we are still reaching out to more community members to make sure more people are aware of the program. That being one, and I'm already directly working with the high school as well as that organization to impact more students, because we want to make sure they graduate from the college and from the high school, and also we want to make sure even if they do not end up being in the college, they see the alternative path, right? So that's what we're already working on. So when it comes to providing more resources, I understand that school is not within our purview as a town, but that should not be our excuse. We can always be a connector, right? As a town, because we face public, we understand what public wants, and we have to work with the school board, we have to work with the county to make sure these resources come to our town, to make sure our kids are fed, they go to school, and they have all the opportunities and mentorship opportunities available in the town. So I'm totally advocating for that, and this is one of the agenda which is very close and dear to my heart as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. LeBlanc.
Oh, sorry. I can actually turn this off. Please remind me to turn it on. Right here.
Okay. Now, Mr. LeBlanc.
All right, thank you. 3 simple words. We walk together. This is not just a school problem. I grew up below the poverty line, so I understand what it means to have to go to school without eating breakfast, without eating lunch. So we need to work together. This begins working with community organizations. We have some wonderful ones right here in the room with us that I know support programs of social welfare and focus on children. I myself have worked with Rotary to provide educational materials, books, feeding children, putting backpacks full of food for them to have for the weekends when they go home, where they may not have the resources that they might get through the school lunch programs. We need to have free lunches for all of our kids, and I know that that's not unique to Herndon. We're working across the nation, across the state to provide this very basic human right of food. While we leave corn to be subsidized, sitting and rotting in their spots, we're allowing people to go hungry. So hunger and food issues, especially related to children, are incredibly important to me. So I will continue to work with all of these groups. I have a very strong relationship with Robin Lady, who's the school board member from Herndon. The first time ever, Herndon has a representative on the school board representing Drainesville District. She and I are working through population studies and how do we make the schools more responsive to the needs of Herndon and not Great Falls and not just McLean, but Herndon. And very quickly, to go back to a point, this relates to affordable housing. Of course, shelter is very important to that. In 2019, there was a similar meeting held, and Councilmember Delagula and Councilmember Dhakal were on that. So in 5 years, we've not seen them progress through these. And I know that you said you've been working with Jimmy Bierman, but I'm very curious as to what that may be, given that in 5 years of your terms, nothing's happened.
Okay, our next question is going to be asked by Ms. Salazar-Lasky.
Community safety. One of the most important priorities for Herndon residents is the safety and well-being of themselves, their families, their children, and neighbors. The Herndon Police Department has worked to prioritize community engagement, partnership, and collaboration while protecting the safety of our community. The question will be, what is your plan for working the police department and community partners like Cornerstones and the Chamber to ensure the safety and well-being of our community members?
Again, I had one job. Yes, it's you.
Thank you. Yeah, so policing and safety is multifaceted, and it should certainly be out in the community. I know that the police, in fact, this week, they have a coffee with the police. They do programs with Opportunity Neighborhoods. I've been to several at Birkdale Apartments, working with that apartment manager, with the police, with Cornerstones and Opportunity Neighborhoods. They bring ice cream, they do other things, not just for the children, but also the parents. So that way parents who maybe don't understand that the police are not reporting anyone to ICE, we don't have that sort of relationship. Our relationship is to our community, and that's our first obligation. So the community outreach and showing that we are here for safety and well-being first and foremost. Now, after that, we do need to provide adequate support for our police. As I said, there's a lot of, while we are fully staffed and the only one in the area, we do have salary compression issues. So in order to retain those staff, we need a whole different salary model, and we need to provide the budget that supports maintaining that force or even growing it. I would love, and I will push for a specific community policing liaison. That's their entire job, is to work with these organizations and to work with the communities. And I've talked to Chief DeBoard about this, and she is on board with it. We also need to support the technology, because children today and communities today are connected in different ways. So we need to be able to do our outreach both physically and through electronic or digital means.
And Mr. Dhakal.
All right. Community safety is very paramount, so I totally agree there. And there are various ways we can work to enhance that. So when it comes to policing, obviously we have to equip them with the technology they need. At the same time, we need more patrolling, right? Especially police in the bikes or police walking in the neighborhood, building relationship, and having, multilingual, and we've already started there, but still there is so much more to do, right? Multicultural, multilingual police, so people feel like connected. And building that relationship, bridging that gap is very important, so our diverse community feels empowered, feels protected, and they feel, because community safety is not about just having police, but having that mental, safety that, hey, I'm safe in this community. I'm not targeted. I'm not attacked. I feel welcomed in this community. I think we have to create that kind of environment in our community. And that happens by different things. Obviously, more patrolling, more police presence is very important. And having more like cross-cultural training, having, our police force talking in different language is very important because people feel connected. And also the Neighborhood Watch program, expanding that. A lot of neighborhoods are already doing that, but I think we have to extend that. And also I propose that we have a community safety task force which can liaison between the community and the police, so we understand what are the issues in there and how we can tackle, right? So these are some of the things ideas we can certainly implement to make it more safe, making our community safer. So thank you.
And our next panelist question is from Mr. Williams.
This has to do with Fairfax County Democratic Committee endorsements. This year, the Fairfax County Democratic Committee chose to make endorsements in Herndon's elections for mayor and town council. According to the town's charter, candidates for mayor and town council run as nonpartisan. Political parties have made endorsements in previous Herndon elections, but this is not required or necessarily standard practice. Some town residents feel that it is inappropriate for the Democratic Committee to make these endorsements, that they may not reflect the opinions of the majority of the town's residents. What are your thoughts about endorsements?
And Mr. Dhakal, I'm doing my job. This is your question.
All right, yeah. Thank you. Again, talking about endorsement, our elections are still nonpartisan. We agree to that. And when we talk about the town issues, these are nonpartisan as well. When we have a pothole to fix, it's not conservative or it's not liberal. It's nonpartisan issue, right? When we are talking about endorsement, it's about just giving that voice, or at least the residents who want to understand the affiliation, and based on that, they only want to vote, giving that right. I'm talking about, if somebody is already well informed, then obviously you don't have to go with the sample ballot. You can always make your best informed decision. For other people, if you have knocked the door, if you have volunteered in the election booth, you understand how many people come asking for the sample ballot, because they want to understand that. And that's probably 60–70% of the population. So how do we serve that community? How do we serve those people who are looking for sample ballot, right? That's the reason why the endorsement is. And again, whether you are for endorsement or against endorsement, this is a separate issue. We can always discuss that. We can always agree to disagree. But I think one of our vision is that we are talking about that we follow is ethical integrity. I mean, if you're against endorsement, absolutely stay against it and work that way. If you're pro-endorsement, go in the endorsement that way. But taking endorsement when it benefits you and then being anti endorsement and again seeking endorsement and doing all those essential things to get endorsement, and when that does not happen, again, disregarding that endorsement is not definitely what we were talking about. Because one of our vision that we all agreed and envisioned in our town, if you look into our, one of these visions is ethical integrity, right? So I challenge that, let's be ethical, let's have integrity. I'm always talking about endorsement. I will support that.
Thank
That's
you,
my
Mr. Dhakal.
point.
Okay, Mr. LeBlanc.
Yes, thank you. I think Councilmember Dhakal and I agree that it should be nonpartisan in the town, that there are services that have no relationship to national party politics. However, I would argue that integrity is not skipping a town council meeting that you're paid to attend in order to push for an endorsement and encouraging people, possibly even paying people, to join a local organization to push for endorsement. FCDC has 300 precincts that it's responsible for in Fairfax County. Herndon is 3. They have chosen to go outside of their bounds to unduly influence our town, which represents 1% of the precincts for which they have responsibility or coverage. I have vocally been against endorsements from the very beginning. I wear purple because it's the color of inclusion across everyone. And so I will continue to do that. Now, I do believe individual endorsements are different than partisan endorsements or parties creating a sample ballot to influence the election. When that came up, I appealed it. Then I also worked with Delegate Shin to try and appeal it further after it was decided. However, the party went forward, did not communicate to the community about their sample ballot endorsement votes. I tried and had to wrestle with my own personal integrity of whether or not I would allow it to continue without me, or if I felt it was best for this community that we have 2 representatives in a shot for running for mayor. Last time I checked, this is a democracy. We don't crown people, we hold elections.
Okay, thank you. Well, it actually appears that I actually have 2 jobs. In addition to trying to keep things on time, I also get to ask the lightning round questions. The lightning round questions are a little different than the other ones. Instead of having 2 minutes to answer these questions, you have 60 seconds. So Amanda's resetting her clock to 60 seconds. Many town residents are raising concerns that the town council is struggling to work together in a civil manner. Tell us one thing, and I emphasize one thing, you will do as mayor to address these concerns. And Mr. LeBlanc, we're starting with you first.
Very simple. We walk together. The mayor sets the example. So the mayor should be courteous, should encourage debate, should work with everyone, and be able to facilitate the meeting. I think that I've proven that even from the side, working with council members to negotiate on topics such as the tax reduction and budget and other issues. I think overall, we see more alike than we see differences.
Mr. Dhakal, how would you respond to the lightning?
Yeah, I totally agree to that. I think for mayor, it's all about working together with everybody. Being a mayor, giving a space to everybody to bring ideas. Because without having the ideas discussed, without having the data to support it, we would not be able to know whether something is feasible or not. So we should not be dismissing ideas, rather we should be welcoming ideas. We should discuss ideas and then bring more data to support or not support it, and based on that, we can make the decision. So I think the best decision we can make, best thing we can do is create that open space within council where everybody is free to bring ideas and give opportunity to have that ideas discussed.
Thank you. I'm going to ask another lightning round question. Again, 60 seconds. If you had to choose one thing to accomplish during your term as mayor, what would it be? And we're starting with you, Mr. Dhakal.
I think affordable housing, that's the big thing. We have to start getting our acts together on that one. So affordable housing, we're doing our comprehensive plan amendment, defining what is our housing need at this time, passing the affordable housing resolution within the town, and then also, working with the county to administer that through our memorandum of understanding, MOU. So we have to get that set. And when the development opportunity comes, we can work to negotiate with the developers to have those dedicated. So dedicated ADUs and WDUs. So I think one thing we have to get started simply because we do have a lot of development and redevelopment opportunities coming. And in the next 5 to 10 years, we can see whether if you include Edstock and TRZ and other areas, probably like 5,000 units will be added. So think about 15% of that. We're talking about 750 units dedicated ADU and WDUs. So that's what we have to get started and accomplish.
Thank you. And Mr. LeBlanc.
Yes, thank you. As I said at the onset, Herndon is not a stepping stone for me. It's my destination. It's where I've built my home. God willing, I'll have another 45 to 50 years in Herndon. And so for me, the key thing is the comprehensive plan and focusing on a very well-structured comprehensive plan that looks to the future for our children and for our grandchildren. That's going to include setting the stage for choosing the right town manager and staff, for the zoning, as Councilmember Dhakal has said, for affordable housing. It's going to set the tone for economic prosperity. It's going to set the tone for environmental sustainability, which is so critical to be able to have this town and this community preserved for generations to come.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank you all, and we need to all thank our candidates for their participation this evening. So why don't we all give them a round of applause. I also want to thank the panelists for participating and asking their questions. A lot of people worked together to make tonight possible. We had a planning committee that worked together. We have to thank Trinity Presbyterian Church. We have to thank our real-time translators who are trying to keep up with some very fast-talking people, including me. And we also have to thank Crumble Cookies for donating the cookies that you're about to enjoy. But most importantly, I want to thank you, our Herndon community. Your engagement in this electoral process matters. And the fact that you are here tonight, you submitted such good questions, makes me feel good. With some closing remarks, I'd like to invite Kerry Wilson, Cornerstones Chief Executive Officer, up to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming, and I just want to echo what Andy really just said it all. It's thanks to everybody who came out tonight, given everything that's going on, these incredible leaders in our community. It's so glad, I know what you guys do, and I know how often you're working, so thanking you all for being here tonight to help pose the questions, and I think most importantly, show the face of our community. We're here in this church, with the Chamber of Commerce, the businesses, the people that work to support our prosperity, and with so many organizations that really work to build the fabric of our community, and so we're so proud to do that. I really appreciate our two candidates for mayor and all those who serve in public office. It's not something that is for the faint of heart. It is such an important responsibility, and I think that's why Cornerstones, in doing this work with the Chamber, with others, we see it as a four-legged stool. This is our community. The things that are happening and changing, even with the wonderful, everybody said it's small town feel, and I've been here since 1976 and seen a lot of the changes. But the future is in our hands, and we're so grateful that you will help over cookies continue the conversation with the mayors, and thank you for coming. Night.